The two-time Olympian, 18 years in the National Hockey League, doing great work for NBC, 500-plus career goals, 9-time All-Star. Jeremy Roenick, great to talk to you in the middle of the playoffs here. Everyone's talking about the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Is this good for hockey, JR, an expansion team that's on the verge or like 2 wins away from going to the Stanley Cup Finals? What do you think?
I think it's amazing. And if you're not talking about the Golden Knights, then you're not a sports fan, 100%. If you're talking about basketball and having Cleveland, that has been in the finals for the last couple of years, or Golden State, which has been in the finals for the last couple of years, the other thing in basketball would be talking about the Boston Celtics, who have been around for 75 years. So you talk about a league that is causing a stir. You want to talk about a team that's causing excitement. The Golden Knights are doing something in sports that is unheard of. And if you're a sports fan and can't understand what's happening in sports with this team, take away the expansion aspect. Even if they were in the league for 10 years or 6 years, what they're being able to do, they're doing, in 1 year what teams haven't been able to do in 30 or 40.
Yeah, but so if I was to compare it to anything, I'd have to go to the movies and say it's like Major League, like a bunch of guys that are cast-offs that nobody wanted. I mean, these are 31 teams in the NHL were allowed to protect 10 skaters and a goalie. These are players 11 through the bottom, and yet here they are. Now, there were salary cap guys who people were trying to save money and all that type of stuff, and Marc-Andre Fleury had been a great goalie in the league, but he was seemingly on the downside, and they wanted out of the contract. These are guys that people didn't want, and they're doing it, which is, to me, that's the coolest part.
Well, it's not so much they didn't want them, as they just couldn't keep them.
Yeah.
So, listen, you win championships with superstars, okay, and goaltenders, but you can't. But those superstars can't win championships without the core players. They can't win without the lunch pail players, the guys that go out there and do the dirty work and do all the mucking and the grinding and the beating and the hard stuff in order to win hockey games. And everybody's going to protect the best players. So when you get a few diamonds in the rough, like William Karlsson, like Jonathan Marchessault, like an Alex Tuck, all these guys that have severe talent that are at some points on their teams the 6th or 7th man down because they have such good talent that they can't give up. All of a sudden, you're going to grab a couple players that are going to be your superstars, and Las Vegas has taken advantage of the new changes that came about of the expansion draft. Usually, before it was 17 players and a goaltender, and now it's 10. So there's more people that were available. It just goes to show you how deep of talent that the National Hockey League has, and how many good players there are. So, it's a great thing. It's a great thing for hockey, and I'll tell you, Las Vegas is getting some of our best numbers, some of our best ratings for NBC. So it's good for everything. It brings attention to a game that probably wouldn't get as much attention as it should.
So, and you just mentioned the ratings. This is the highest rated conference final since the Chicago Blackhawks, which has been carrying the league. I mean, the Blackhawks are in every single New Year's Day game, outdoor game, and the league loves them. And obviously the Hawks are not in the playoffs this year. But everyone's jumping on board here. So it's great for you, JR. More people are watching, and they get to, right?
We have the best ratings, and we have the best ratings we've had in years with a Canadian team in the Final Four, right? Yeah. And a team in a non-traditional market. So between Washington and Vegas, it's drawing so much attention because of Ovechkin. Yeah. Because of the where this team has come for so many years, and they're finally here at this point. But Las Vegas being in there, I mean, if you look at the Final Four, right? We have one Canadian team. We have 3 teams, or 2 teams that weren't even in the playoffs last year, and 1 team that wasn't even in the National Hockey League last year. So you talk about exciting things for the league to really take advantage of right now. this is not bad for the league. This is nothing but good for the league, because you talk about creating television, proving that Las Vegas is capable of supporting a professional sports team. I mean, there's nothing but positive things that are coming out of what the Golden Knights are doing.
Did you see this coming, lastly, on the Knights here, when they drafted the players they had and you're looking at their roster? Did you think this team could be, let's not say where they're at, obviously, because no one could have thought that, but you think maybe they could be a playoff team?
Well, I mean, I thought about putting $100 down on this team back in September, and I thought I'd much rather it's probably just like taking a lighter and burning $100. That's what I thought. And then in February, I said this team has the potential of winning the Stanley Cup. So, and everybody laughed at me in February. I laughed at myself in September. People laughed at me in February. We were under 2 games away from the Stanley Cup final. I mean, it's just everybody's waiting for this team to peak, but they refuse to peak. It's incredible.
So who are you picking right now, JR? I mean, no one's beaten Winnipeg in back-to-back games until the Knights just did it. So are you taking them to go to the Stanley Cup Finals?
Not picking anybody. I've been so bad in picking games. The only game I picked in this whole in the last 3 weeks was I picked Vegas to win 4-2 with an empty netter last night. That was the only game that I was right on in the last probably 2 weeks. So I mean, I don't know what to think anymore. These games are too close, too good. Players are too good. That Winnipeg team, I can't count them out because they beat the team I thought was going to win the Stanley Cup the whole year, which was Nashville. So,
right.
But I will tell you, I'm kind of on the Washington bandwagon.
Uh-huh.
I'm on the Washington bandwagon, and I want them to get there, but they disappoint me, and I think they disappoint a lot of people when they get to 2 games away from the final, and they have a chance to go up 3-0 on the team that they're underdogs to, and they come out and they lay an egg in Game 3 in front of their home fans. And, Games 1 and 2, they play as well as they've played, I thought, in 10 years, and then they go back to the roadways and try to win by talent alone in Game 3. And I just don't understand the mentality. So I can't get a grasp on Washington. I don't know who's going to show up from one day to the next.
Well, and in that series, you've got, home ice hasn't mattered at all. And I think that at least coming into the series, a lot of people are picking the Lightning. But, then the Capitals start out great and everyone's thinking, well, this is going to be they're going to walk through. And now they're back where you're just at, JR, where people, it's like the NHL world does not trust the Capitals at all.
I will tell you, I thought Tampa played well in Game 3, but Washington allowed them to do it. Washington they just put it on the platter. They put it on the platter for them and said, here, we're giving you the opportunity to take it, and Tampa took it. So, and that for a team that's been so, I think, has so much high expectations over the last couple of years and played so well in Games 1 and 2, to have a mental letdown in such a critical, crucial game. I mean, if Tampa wins this series, everybody's gonna look back to Game 3 and say that was the downfall. That's where it turned.
Yeah, and how much of this do you put on is it unfair to say Ovechkin, this is on you. You're the leader. You're the best player. You're the guy. Is that fair in your mind?
I don't put it on Ovi. Yeah. I don't put it on Ovi. I thought Ovi actually was one of the better players for Washington the other day. He had 9 shots on net, 10 shots on net. He had 24 shot attempts. Kuznetsov had 12 shots on net. He had 22. I mean, they had 33 shots on net or 34 shots on net between Ovechkin and Kuznetsov. Together, they had 21. So to me, it's the rest of the team. And I think just just their lack of preparation. They just weren't, especially defensively. Orpik was terrible. Orlov was terrible. Those are the guys that have to be better in order for this team to win.
Let's talk about the biggest development that just happened off the field in sports, JR, and that's you're going to be able to gamble not just where the Las Vegas Golden Knights play, but anywhere coming down the pipe here. Do you think that changes anything for the NHL? You see Gary Bettman and company kind of capitalizing on this and trying to get more eyeballs on the game?
Well, I mean, I think gambling's been around for a long time, whether it's legal or illegal. It's a huge business, and I think it's probably a smart thing to legalize it, because I don't think you're ever going to eliminate it. And if you're the states or the government, you might as well be a part of it rather than spend all the money to fight it and then lose all the money from not compensating on the opportunity. I think you just got to be careful. You got to be careful on where who does it, when it's done, and who's involved with it. I mean, I think it's a free country, right? You can do what you want with your money. You should be able to gamble your money and be able to make money when you where you see fit. And if sports gambling is that, you do it, but you do it properly. And I think there is a way to do it properly. I never like anybody to tell me that we can't do anything in a country where we're free to do what we feel, as long as we're not hurting anybody, right?
Yeah, no doubt. I just think it's interesting. You could be able to, you could sit in an NHL arena and be like, okay, first goal, the second period, I'm betting on whoever. I mean, that's a whole nother animal for fans coming down the line here.
You just have to do it right. You just have to do it right. You just have to make sure everybody knows what you're doing, and it's like going out and earning a living. You have to show the kind of money that you're making to the IRS and make sure that you're paying what your dues, what you have to pay to the government, to the state. And if you can do that, who cares where your money comes from? If you want to bet on a hockey game, bet on a hockey game. It's got to make sure that the influences of the sport are as far away from gambling as possible.
Where are you at, JR, with fighting in the game? I hear the conversation all the time. I'm sure you do too. They have to get rid of it, make it more family friendly. The players policing themselves, that's got to be a thing of the past in a fighting form. If you get in a fight, you should get kicked out of the game. Would that ruin hockey as far as you're concerned if that ever happened?
Well, I still think there's a part of the fan population that comes because they like the fight, and that there could be a fight that breaks out, and they love that adrenaline part of the game. It's been a part of the game for a long time, and there is part of the game that is policing and is making sure that the top players aren't targeted. We've gotten away from the fighters. The guys that are just there to fight, the enforcers, and we've seen that fighting has dropped off significantly over the last 10 years. So I don't really think that's a conversation that we need to have anymore. It happens. I mean, people go to hockey games understanding what hockey is. It's just like, you go to a boxing match. Are they going to eliminate, the boxing world because people punch themselves in the head? They go there just to fight. UFC is one of the biggest things in the world in terms of sporting venues. Yeah. You just have to understand where you're going.
Give me one thing you think the NHL could do better.
I think for me, I think right now, with the way that the officiating is being scrutinized, I think they can do a better job of making their referees and their officiating more accountable for the way that they play, rather than protecting them as much as they possibly can. I think the players are out there and they're getting watched and criticized, and I believe that the officiating should be as scrutinized as the players. So if they're going to make mistakes, they should be as held accountable as the players are. And the league protects them extremely to extremes, which is not a bad thing. But you never hear of referees getting fined for bad calls or missed calls, or we don't even see referees go get and sit on a at a table and do a press conference and let them get asked questions. I think if referees in the league held their officiating to a high standard of scrutiny, I think it would get better and nobody would be questioning. So for me, it would be just the officiating aspect of it. It's a hard game. It's a hard game to officiate for the human eye. And sometimes people just want answers. It's not to make them sometimes to yell or scream at them. It's to get answers, because a lot of people they ask questions and they yell and they scream and they go on social media and they complain. But at least if they got an answer, they wouldn't scream as much. They might not like the answer, but to have that accountability makes everything at least a little bit less scrutinized. Yeah,
well, I get you. A little bit more transparency. It makes a lot of sense to me. Jeremy Roenick, you're working today with let's go back to April. Clinton, New York, which was crowned the Kraft Hockeyville USA, won the title. And it's ice rink there at the Clinton Ice Rink. Will get an opportunity to host a preseason game in September, and they're going to get $150,000 in rink upgrades. It's all provided by Kraft and Heinz. Talk about who you're working with today, JR. I know this is something that you're very passionate about.
Passionate, I think that's an understatement. This is the 4th year that I've been associated with Kraft Hockeyville USA, and we have been able to really get to the grassroots of hockey, right? Celebrate hockey in the small towns, the towns that don't have NHL teams, where there are arenas that are old and decrepit and loved by the people that live in those communities, where the kids grow up learning hockey, where, when the parents need their kids to be in safe places and places that they're going to learn the sport. And what Kraft Hockeyville has done is they've taken hockey and used hockey to get to the grassroots and find the most passionate, lovers of the sport. And, we went to Johnstown, Pennsylvania. We've gone to Marquette, Michigan. We've gone to Ross Draver in Pennsylvania. Now this year, going to Clinton, New York, and finding and literally allowing young kids to have better arena situations, accommodations, better programs, and then bringing in the National Hockey League to do a preseason game, right? Let these kids see the people that they watch on television, their heroes, walk right in front of them and play on the ice that they play on. I think Kraft has done an amazing job of creating more excitement for hockey, making new fans for hockey, and making, I think, the education of hockey is so much better for so many young kids, and the excitement from so many young kids, and they're putting it right on the national level. And that's, it's not only the money, but it's the attention. And it's my favorite thing to do every year. So Kraft Hockeyville is 100% one of the best I think competitions going in sports around the country, around North America. And Clinton, New York is going to see firsthand what they created by showing everybody that they are the most passionate hockey community in the United States this year.
It's awesome, and listening to you talk about it kind of reminds me of the story of a young Jeremy Roenick when Gordie Howe, he dumped a bunch of ice snow on you, and you were right.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
it's exactly right. Right in the old. And by the way, that arena that he did that in, they turned that into a chicken coop afterward, and then they got more money and then redid it into another arena. And still today, now it is another arena with more kids that are skating on that. So it's amazing what happens when you put a little revenue into an arena, put a little love into an arena, and then you allow kids to learn the game again. And that's what Kraft Hockeyville is doing in some of the small markets, the grassroots of America. And I'm proud to be a part of it.
Jeremy Roenick, great to talk to you. Really appreciate the time. Continued success, and I guess we'll see the Las Vegas Golden Knights in the Stanley Cup Finals.